hear you. Okay. But the people on Zoom can hear you to speak directly. You're gonna have to do a little bit.
This up a little bit. Okay. All right, we're calling the meeting to order for March 13th, 2025. We're gonna have a roll call. Here. Here.
Present.
Okay, the next item on the agenda, we're gonna approve the minutes from last meeting. No? Okay. I move to adopt.
Minutes as I wasn't present. So if I could make a motion to adopt the agenda with the deletion of the approval of the minutes.
And then there is also, can I bundle them together? There's also one addition, or one additional deletion. Item number 6, the presentation of from the Public Works Director, Alton Matthews, about the Gillum Road repairs needs to come off as he is unable to attend this evening.
Okay.
Director Matthews looked at the estimate and he said from his perspective, all was good. So.
Ms. Julio, motion is seconded and accepted. All in favor? All right, so we're going to the next agenda item. We're gonna talk about the old business, which would be reviews and approval of the Metcalf Extension catch basins.
Thank you. As we presented last month, we received 2 quotes for the 200 Metcalf Extension Road catch basin repair. It is the recommendation of staff to move forward with the quote from DAF Concrete.
So with that being said, what I probably want to do with that is we want to table this item for now until Ms. James comes back. Is that? Did we have anything from that last time?
No, we didn't. The conversation when we presented this last month was that wanted an opportunity, or wanted staff to go back and have the Public Works Director look at the estimates. Director Matthews has looked at the estimates. He is in agreement with staff that should move forward with DAF Concrete.
Director Matthews.
Alton Matthews, the new Public Works Director.
The new Public Works Director. He has seen the.
He has.
All right. All right. Well, with that being said, we want to accept that.
I move that we accept the offer from DAF Concrete. Proceed.
Second.
All right. It's moved. It's so moved and seconded by Ms. Julio. All in favor? Right. Aye. Yeah. So that's everybody's in agreement with that. Okay. So we're going to go on to new business presentation by TSW regarding proposal of URA development sites.
All right. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening. We're having a presentation from TSW If you all remember back in,
You normally comes in that one, I think.
we'll just wait. Good afternoon.
Or did we just edit the record later? Or in this, okay.
All right, so we're having a presentation from TSW regarding the URA redevelopment sites and the expansion of the URA boundaries. If you all remember during our retreat last July, we talked about this. Then we got, and then we had TSW came, they did a presentation, an executive session, and we've had a couple conversations with them about just a preview of the map and some of the things they're doing. So I'm going to let them take over and tell you about the work they've been doing, and we can have some Q&A afterwards. All right?
Thank you, Marcellus, and good afternoon. My name is Gia Lee, and I'm with TSW. I'm here to give you a brief presentation about the URA strategic plan we're working on. And I do have a presentation I want to share with everyone. And I also brought a big map of the overall URA extension area, including the 4 sites we have identified so far for further study.
Yeah, we need to see that.
Okay, next slide. A little background. My name again is Gia Lee. We also have like 2 other colleagues working with me together. One is Adam Williamson. He's actually principal in charge. He's one of the principals in TSW. And we also have a planner, which is more focused on policy and land use planning, Nick Johnson, working with me. Next slide. A little background on TSW. We are a multidisciplinary firm located in Atlanta, and we do have planning, architecture, and landscape architecture. And I'm with the planning group, and we have a focus on context-sensitive, community-focused design. We strive to work with local communities to provide more livable, sustainable environment. And next slide. About the urban strategic plan, what we're doing here, we have done, as Marcellus mentioned, the basic consultation session to define the scope of the study. That's when we decided we're going to look at expanding the existing URA boundary and also look at potential sites within the URA area, up to 4 sites, each around 10 acres. To focus on to do some concept plan, exploring possibilities for redevelopment. And we did a site visit and we did boundary analysis using maps and GIS data provided by the city. And this is where we are, task number 2. And hopefully after this meeting, we will get some direction about what 2 sites we want to focus on to do further study. Next. About the study area. So as you can see, the map on the table is actually contains the more complete study area. But on the screen, as you can see, down below along Forest Parkway, that's where the existing URA boundary is. It's hatched in green. It's about 122 acres for that area. And we do look at potential expanding the URA boundary to include all the parcels fronting on Jonesboro Road, all the way to the city limits up to the north. So that will take the entire URA area to about 480 acres, about 4 times of existing site. If you can see, there are some like orange little parcels scattered around the URA area. That is based on a list that we've been provided by the city. It's a list of blighted properties. We mapped them along with the URA boundary to make sure we want to include some of those which are more adjacent to the existing URA sites. So based on the overall study and the survey, we have identified 4 sites. Just to give you an overview about the 4 sites. Next slide, please. The first one is located in, oh yeah, this is about the study area, as I mentioned. This is site B. Oh yeah, this is site A, yeah. This is what I'm looking for. Site A is actually located on Central Avenue and close to Springdale Avenue. It is about 6 acres, including 3 parcels. Among those 3 parcels, 2 are already owned by URA. There is 1 parcel to the east, which is privately owned, which I will show you more detail. The current zoning for that parcel is urban village, and the future land use is commercial, office, professional. We haven't really looked into whether it will allow a residential or not, but that's a potential we will try to explore. And next slide. The second site is Clayton Plaza. It is an existing commercial shopping plaza. It's 1 giant parcel with some existing commercial uses. It's currently zoned general commercial, and future land use is also commercial. It's a little shy of 11 acres. The next site, on the next slide, is the A to Z Outlet Shopping Center. Again, it's another shopping center, but this one has a large parcel along with 5 or 6 out parcels up in the front. It's underutilized. It's also close to 11 acres, zoned general commercial, and land use is commercial as well. And the last site is 4176 Jonesboro Road. It's actually 2 parcels. This 4176 is fronting on Jonesboro Road, and it is a vacant parcel. It used to be like a commercial building over there, but it's vacant today. It also including a long, skinny parcel in the back, which is accessible from Conley Road, I believe, or if I remember correctly. And those 2 parcels have different zoning, and the land use designation, as you can see, is commercial and multifamily residential respectively. So we did a little more detailed analysis on each of the sites. So next slide, please. So site A, as I mentioned, is about 6 acres, 3 parcels, is relatively flat. I heard part of the site is currently used for fire department training purposes. There are not many existing structures, maybe a couple of structures on there. It's pretty much ready for redevelopment. And we do get a tax value for that property, but because the city already owns it, so I guess the land cost can be, you don't have to pay for land acquisition anymore, except for the small parcel to the east, which cost about $37,000 tax value. Next slide, please. This is just an overview, area view of the area to help you. I'm sure you live here, almost every parcel in the city, but we just want to give you an idea and context about where they are, what they look like today. And next slide, please. So we consider pros and cons to help us decide which site to choose later on to conduct further analysis. So apparently this site is ready for development. It's already mostly owned by the city and not much structures on it. So And the cons is basically the little parcel to the east is still privately owned. If you want to include it in the development, that needs to be acquired. Although I do notice there is that corner parcel by Springdale Road and Central Avenue. That is also that is the old tire place. It's also vacant today. So you might also want to consider include that parcel into consideration. So that is a very nice parcel with 3 street frontage. That will also probably bring the total acreage to close to 10 acres. So next site B, which is a Clayton Plaza. As I mentioned, it's just one parcel. It has a Piggly Wiggly and several other commercial establishments. It's kind of relatively viable comparing to the other sites we have identified. I mean, the next one. The tax value is about $4.7 million. I guess if the URA does want to consider redevelopment, the acquisition cost must be taken into consideration. And it's relatively flat. It's accessible from both Jonesboro Road and the street in the back. However, the street in the back does have some great differences. It's not like easy accessible, but I do believe both from the north end and south end, you can access the site from the back. Yes?
And different people own the property.
It's one owner, but the tenants are different. They might have different lengths of leases, expires on different time, but it's just one property owner. Yeah. And another advantage is, well, I guess most of the sites have all the sites have bus stations near them. Those are pretty, that's an advantage when whatever you develop, if you develop housing, you can consider possibility of reduction of parking because of the availability of the bus stops. So next slide. This is an aerial view of that shopping plaza. Again, huge parking lot and commercial in the back. Next slide. So the pros of this site, as I mentioned, just one owner and relatively flat, but the cons is it's still somehow pretty viable. We have some number on the previous slide called land to value ratio. Is basically if the land to value ratio is pretty high, which means the improvement on the site is not worth much, which means the site is ready for redevelopment. But this one, it has a relatively low land to value ratio, which means the owner probably still, I mean, sees this as a viable investment and want to keep. Next slide, please. The third site is A to Z Outlet Shopping Center. It's pretty similar to Site B, and also in terms of size, they're all a little above 10 acres. But this one, instead of just one owner, this one has like 4 or 5 different owners because it has several out parcels up front. And in front, I believe the Dollar General and the seafood restaurant are still kind of pretty viable, but the large commercial properties in the back, they're pretty much underutilized and mostly vacant. So that's just if you compare this one and the previous side, this one is probably less viable to keep and more ready for redevelopment. But their value are pretty similar. This one is slightly cheaper. The overall value is about 4.3 million. The other one is 4.7 million. Those are just the tax value. Yeah. Next slide. Yeah, this is just to show the area view of the overall area. Again, this side is also accessible from like 3 different streets, I believe. Yeah, there's Theater Drive to the north and old Jonesboro Road in the back. However, the old Jonesboro Road is higher than the plaza, so probably not viable to have a vehicular access. Next slide, please. So the pros and cons, I kind of already mentioned. Multiple owners, it's a little hard to acquire, but relatively flat, and the establishment on the site are less less valuable and probably more ready for redevelopment. And the cons is just the multiple owners. It's a little hard to assemble. Next slide, please. Yeah, the last one is 4176 Jonesboro Road. It is close to, let's see, yeah, Conley, is that Conley Road or Drive? Yeah, to the south. So the front parcel has access from Jonesboro Road. The back parcel has direct access from Conley Road. And the advantage here is both parcels are vacant. However, the front parcel has like one access from the north end. The southern part is kind of lower than Jonesboro Road. So the only access point is to the north. But the Conley parcel only have like one access. So potentially two access for the entire site. And this one is a little cheaper because I guess there is no buildings on the site right now. The tax value is lower than $1 million. Next slide, please. Yeah, an area view of the two parcels. Next one. Yes, and the pros for this site is it's vacant. It's pretty much ready for redevelopment, and it's relatively cheap to assemble, although it has two owners. And the cons is, well, generally the topography is a challenge for developing those two sites. And also the parcel in the back is long and narrow. It's about 200 feet wide. So it needs to be really creative to find out what can work on this site. So yeah, those are the four sites we have identified. So because in the scope of the study, we're trying to start with four sites and try to narrow down to two, and one as a major one to demonstrate all the details about how we can develop the site, and another one to just provide more like a framework type of concept plan with some big ideas. And we kind of, based on the analysis, we take a little step forward to thinking probably because out of the four sites, two are relatively vacant and two are viable or has existing commercial establishment. So probably we choose one of each type to demonstrate how the site can be redeveloped. So we chose site A and site C, the A to Z. Commercial plaza, but that's just our analysis. We're here to hear your idea about which side you want to move forward, or if there are any other sites you want to consider in the URA area. We're also open for more further exploration. And another thing is if you know any other details about those sites that we don't know, please let us know. We can incorporate in the study. And before I know the following slides are talking about what are the potential vision and the kind of development can happen on those four sites. So before I move towards that section, do you all have any questions or comments about the existing four sites we have identified?
I did have a question about the rail with the noise. Had that been considered when looking at any of these sites, having the train come by?
Well, that is a good point. To be honest, we haven't considered the noise yet. Actually, when I came for this meeting today, I passed by the first site, the site A. I did realize that the railroad is right next to it, across from the street. So that might pose some challenge in terms of what type of development, especially, I guess, residential would be a challenge. Yeah. And do you all have any like data about or how often is the train? Because I also live in the neighborhood where I pass by every day. There is a very active CSX railroad. I don't know how many trains. It must have like at least 4 or 5 trains a day or something. I don't know. But it just passed by a residential neighborhood. So I wonder what's.
Morning every day.
4 o'clock in the morning. Wow.
How do I know that? And I live several miles away.
Are there any residential already close to other section of the railroad line? Do you know? How does that work?
Yeah.
I had a question. A question about Clayton Plaza. How important is, or to what degree does having access from the rear of that property matter?
Let me see.
Site B.
Yeah, if you go back to site B.
The reason why I ask, because if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty familiar with this area. There's actually no access from that back part of that building. You can come around the side, but not directly. Can't access it.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. I mean, it's always good to have easy accessibility. Because we have to look at how long the site really is, but potentially at least one entrance off, each road would be ideal. So you can have good connectivity. And look, by judging from the lands of this site, I would say 2 entrances from, each street would be nice. Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. And I understand on Jonesboro Road, that is because that is a busy road. So it might be, depending whether there's already a light, and maybe we can utilize that light location for the entrance from Jonesboro Road. If there are any other additional like entrances, we would prefer them to be right in, right out only. Yeah. But I would say 2 for each street would be ideal.
All right.
Any other comments? Questions?
I have a couple of concerns of saying too much because maybe some of this should be discussed in executive session. If we're talking, we don't want to consider looking at a parcel that we may need to purchase and then someone identifies that there's some interest and then the price triples or doubles. That's kind of my concern. So I don't want to say too much on what we're thinking of. I do kind of like what's being considered in the expansion. And I think we did talk about Old Dixie, but we decided not to go up that way. I know there's some movement there, but yeah, no, it looks good in that sense. I probably do have a question. I know a couple years ago there still may be some state funding for blighted properties. Does anybody remember that? It was a Tri-Cities effort with Forest Park Morrow. I'm just wondering with the number of blighted properties listed, how that would affect what we decide to redevelop. Might be something good to look at. Yeah.
Yes, we can definitely investigate what we need to find out about that. Mhm.
Okay. Yeah. Yes.
I'm assuming since we didn't hear anything here today that the location on Forest Parkway, that's a car dealership and a Burger King and backs up into Rosetown, that was not considered viable for a number of reasons, because I thought we had a little bit of interest before. That'd be on the other side down there.
That's probably a little small, that area, and
Small?
yeah, I'm not sure how big the overall area is, but we can look into it to see, yeah, to see that area. Yeah. Okay, I'll write that down, the Burger King area. Yeah, I would love to get a more detailed boundary, what you're thinking for that area. Yeah, that would be nice. Marcellus, if you can give us some feedback, yeah, on that. Okay, if there's no further question, I would like to move forward because we are talking about what are the potential kind of like land use or development that we are looking at. From what we heard, we actually looked at the comprehensive plan and the LCI plan for the downtown area. And we understand that the city would really like to see some mixed use type of development, whether it's horizontal or vertical, to include both like workforce housing and commercial retail for the downtown area. And I mean, the URA or more greater Forest Park area. So here, as we show, the picture is, I'm not sure how many of you know of Glenwood Park and close to I-20. It's south of I-20, Glenwood Park. So this is just to show part of Glenwood Park. An aerial view show like 2 city blocks. The blocks to the right is kind of mixed use. It has vertical mixed use at the corner. It's basically condo building or apartment building on top of ground floor commercial use. And between the 2 blocks is not very obvious. There is a public space, a small park. It's for community gathering, and it's actually very actively being used. And the block to the right is a mix of townhouses and pretty dense single family. What I mean dense is they are pretty close to each other, probably only 6 feet to 10 feet apart from each other. So this is kind of an idea about both vertical and horizontal mixed use. And what you see, the 2 blocks is about 4 acres. So if you're thinking about your 10-acre site, you can do about more than double of what shows up here. And the image to the right is just to show a more like a small town type of mixed use with ground floor commercial and upper floor residential units. Next slide, please. This one shows a type of workforce housing. I know probably single family is not much considered for downtown, but we do have a very compact single family, which can be facing on both streets or organized around a courtyard, what we normally call cottage court. So those can be considered as a type of workforce housing because they can be smaller single family homes comparing to the traditional, more bigger homes. Next slide. And we're talking about some townhouses or duplexes. So those are definitely easy to work together with other type of mixed use. Next slide. And those are small multifamily buildings. They can be owner occupied or rental. The one on the left is a 12-unit multifamily rental building in downtown, and not downtown, in East Atlanta. And the one on the right is actually a 4-unit fourplex building, but looks like a big house. Next image, next slide. And this is just showcase different kind of mixed use. The one on the left is more vertical mixed use, like previously showed with nice. We do want to incorporate a nice streetscape because that is more important in an urban environment. And the one to the right is somehow horizontal, where you see like a bake shop next to townhouse or live work building. I believe that's all the slides I have here. So just some food for thought for you to consider what you might want to see in the potential development sites.
Thank you very much.
Right, thank you. Yeah, if you all have any comments or questions, send to Marcellus or Rochelle, and I'm sure they will just forward to me and we'll, consider those. Thank you.
Thanks again. All right. Next item on the agenda, move to review the February 2025 URA financials. How you doing today, sir?
Good evening, everybody.
Evening.
This is your February 2025 financial report. Starting out with the first page, the cover sheet, operating cash, revenue and expenses. Your operating cash, your two checking accounts you have. The beginning budget on the first one, ending in 4594, 3,738,142. You got an ending balance of 3,704,000. The next one, ending 4610, you have a beginning balance of 473,510. You have a ending balance of 3,366,494. Your operating revenue budgeted at 15.5. You've year-to-date actual has come in is 1,199,845. That budget balance is 14,420,155. Your operating expense, your budget, $3,081,050. Year-to-date actual is 328,996. You have some encumbrance that's waiting to be pushed on through for payment. 189,593. You got a ending balance of 2,562,461. The next three sheets are just graphs breaking down your operating revenue, operating cash, and your operating expenses. Next page that I'm looking at is your checking account. I should say checking account, your bank account, ending at 4594. This one here is the main one that a lot of expenses come out of. Like I said, you had the beginning balance of 3.7 million, 38,141. Ending balance is 3,704,859. You had about 6 checks to go through. Most of these checks were actually checks from January, but they have hit in February. That's why they're showing up on the statement, your February statement. I've also included all of the checks associated on this particular statement. Also included a departmental payment report. This report here shows payments to Falcon Design. This is these particular payments have not shown up yet on your bank account. They probably show up in March. This one here is this actually was put in February. That's why it showed up on this particular report. Moving on to the next account statement. This one here ending in 4610. This is the one here for beginning balance was 473,510. You have an ending balance of 3,366,494. You look down in the descriptions, you'll see that we've had some transfer because of, I think last time we spoke, Councilwoman James wanted y'all to see. I wasn't sure, I just couldn't remember. I'll pass it out real quick. And then also, in that little pack I just sent to, that also includes your debt service that we in finance keep track of. I highlighted two of the amounts that's on this particular account statement for loans that that we have to pay. And that first sheet that you're looking at in that packet, that is the loan statement from Truist that we have to pay on those particular dates that's coming up. Um, the money that was transferred in, we have money that's transferred in from the 2021 splosh. That's that 1.6 million that's been transferred in in the beginning, how things were set up to pay on these loans. Money, this particular account here sits here and waits for deposits like this to come in from Splosh 2021, which is happening now to pay on loan 0059. We also had, there's another holding account that money comes in to pay the other loan, which is loan 0067. That's coming from a capital account. And that's pretty much, this is pretty much an in and out type of account. So these amounts, per the statement you have with the debt service, we'll be paying that pretty soon. So we have we have it now where it automatically comes out. So I got to make sure. That's why you see these transfers early, so we can make sure that money is sitting in there waiting to be to pay on the debt service. Anybody got any questions on that? I know that's a
The loan, that's the 28 million. I understand you're saying it's a transfer. Who pays that?
which one?
The second loan obligation number 00067.
We have to. I'm sorry, not URA has to pay. That's part of I think it was two. It's actually, if you look at the debt service, it's 3 loans that were set up through the URA, and on this particular statement that we have to pay, the first one is it was for the Splash 2021, for that money to be used to pay for, I can't remember what the loans were used to pay or acquire.
I'm pretty sure the $28 million loan is for the city center.
Okay.
And because I know that was approximately around, I believe, almost 30 million for that one.
Oh, okay. I'm not looking at, okay, you're absolutely correct. So what we gotta do is pay down on
Okay.
30 million that we have actually sitting in Georgia Fund loan.
And goes
Georgia
to
Fund loan.
this.
Yeah.
Okay, makes sense.
Oh.
And then the 2021 splost, so that's the 4,800,000.
Mm-hmm.
That's expected to be completed by the 6th year of the splost, when the splost ends essentially, is that correct?
Mm,
Because splost only runs 6 years.
right.
So if we're paying this 2021 splost, is this loan going to be paid off when we stop collecting 2021 splost?
That particular loan, the debt service, I'm not looking at it, but it does show how many years we have to pay on it. As far as the splash, yeah, you only got like 5 years to collect revenue on that. And once we collect, we're using some of that to pay this loan down.
It doesn't say how many years.
Look on the second page. Look at that debt service. Is it the one for, was it 8 million at the bottom? No, the first one, 2020, and then the next one's the 2021. It's the one in the yellow, highlighted in the yellow.
Yeah, 2027, that's when splost ends.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next statement I have is it's the Georgia Fund 1 statement that has has the new balance of 4,300,276. You had reinvestments of 14,553. So it's still doing what it's supposed to do. And the last little section is pretty much just a download of what I take out of our system encode to come up with the numbers on the cover sheet. And that's it for the financial report. Any more questions?
Sorry.
Oh, you okay?
I'm just getting on the URA, so I'm trying to get some understanding. So we took out a loan of 28 million for the city center. We put that money in Georgia Fund One
Mhm.
to hold it while we build city center. But Georgia Fund One only has four,
You had two. See, at first, uh, you had, we started out the Georgia Fund One, the first one was like about maybe, I think, 3 million, which is built up now to 4 million. I think, I don't know how many, 2 or 3 sessions ago, we made the decision, let's put it all in there.
Mhm.
So I combined them. But thinking about it and coming back and with city manager and councilwoman, we want to y'all wanted to separate that. Y'all did not want that 30 million sitting in the same pot with the 4 million in the URA, so you wanted to separate. So I got, it's actually two. You actually have two Georgia Fund One. But the 30 million, since it's, you don't, it's nothing you can do anything with. It just has to sit there. That's why I didn't even bring it into report. But we do have it. It is accumulating what it's supposed to accumulate in Georgia Fund One.
I think we should see that because if I'm looking at these financials, it looks like we're short a couple $1,000,000. So I didn't know, I know it's just sitting there, but wouldn't that also be accumulating interest?
It is. It is.
Yeah.
It was accumulating, if, Councilwoman James wanted to separate. So that's
Mhm.
what I did. I separated both of them, put it back. I didn't put it back into a truist account because the interest rate is not, it's not much. It's not like the Georgia Fund One. So, uh, I had where, with the Office of the Treasury, I was able to separate both of them to Georgia Fund One accounts for you.
Yeah, I remember when we did that. What would you say the balance is in that second,
Hmm.
Georgia Fund One?
Might be like 30, 30,700,000 something.
Thank you.
So. I think that's it.
All right, thank you very much,
Mhm.
sir. Gonna move on to the next review and approval of an easement agreement from Kroger for Gillum. Just want to make everybody know, be very general in your statements concerning this particular review and approval.
Okay, so this is the agreement that we've been negotiating with Kroger for almost a year, it feels like, but it was, and so we finally got everyone together. Kroger's good with it. We're good with it. The Development Authority is good with it. So all we need is your approval and then we will have access. So.
Okay, I motion for the approval of the easement agreement from Kroger for Fort Gillum access.
Seconded.
All in favor? All right, it's been agreed upon. Let's see. Thank you very much. Next is the presentation by Public Works Director Alton Matthews on road repair recommendation at Fort Gillum. No? That was, oh, still on there. All right. Next, we have I think it's a review by Economic Development Director.
Right, good evening. Good evening. I'm going to be kind of quick, so I get a couple updates. I mentioned our last meeting that we are in a partnership with the Small Business Development Center, Clayton State. We had, they hosted some small business consulting hours Monday. I think it had a decent turnout. We're going to be doing it again this coming Monday. And so if you know anyone who's interested in getting some small business consulting, please let us know. We can get them signed up for that. Also, we are partnering with Clayton State, Clayton County Public Schools, Atlanta Technical College, and the Atlanta Center for Self-Sufficiency for the Elevate Workforce Development Program. So that's a program where we are also partnering with Calvary Refuge to find residents who or well, people at the shelter who are trying to get them job placement with local companies here in Forest Park. So we've gotten a couple companies who have said they're interested. We presented the plan, or Mr. Clark presented that plan before mayor and council, and it was signed off on. The Atlanta Center for Self-Sufficiency will be they'll be serving as a middle man, sort of kind of in this project because they'll be training the residents with resume training, helping with job skills, and getting them prepared when they go work for these companies. We've gotten some yeses from Georgia Power and Clorox, just to name a few of our major industries in the city that we've gotten yeses from. And so we're really excited about that. That program's kicking off, and so you should be hearing more about the successes of that in the future. Um, and then finally, we have our St. Patrick's Day event tomorrow. This thing's starting from 5 till 9. So please come check that out. It should be a lot of fun. There'll be a lot of prizes, a lot of things for kids. And so Easter egg hunt. Nope, wrong thing. Wrong season.
Okay.
Wrong season. Right.
That didn't go together, but it's okay.
But it'll be a great time for everyone. So and then we and then there will be oh, and then also just to let you all know, we are have some pretty maybe some development going on in the downtown, some mixed use development possibly. And that's all I can say. But hopefully, once that happens, it'll be really exciting. So there we go. All right, that is it. Do you guys have any questions? Yes.
Back to the Calvary relationship with SBA, Small Business Association. How, those folks over there are not permanent residents. So we're talking about people coming in to their campus to get help for job placement.
You said an SBA?
I'm probably the wrong,
No.
small business.
So
Workforce
the
development.
workforce development,
Okay.
yeah. So they're not permanent residents, but they are. We do want to help. That's kind of Mr. Clark's big vision, helping those residents, helping those individuals get on their feet because they are here in the city. And so it may have a possibility because obviously we're trying to bring more workforce housing as well in the city. So there's a possibility that one day those residents could be, those individuals could be residents in the city. So, but the program's starting with them kind of as a test case. So we're going to get 15 to 20 individuals as a cohort. But we also do want to expand it to other residents in the future. So.
But the people over there are not considered residents, so are they? I mean, they have to leave every night unless things.
I don't think
Unless
so.
things
No,
change.
no, I don't think so. I don't know the technical what definition, but I wouldn't. Yeah. So
So they could be residents, if they're putting, what's the name of the, is it Coventry?
Calvary.
Calgary, excuse me. If they're listing Calgary as their place of residence, but if they're essentially, they reside within the city limits, they just don't have a stable address, if that makes sense.
Sound like things have changed. Years ago, when my little church used to listen, everybody had to leave every morning, 6 o'clock in the morning. Then they would come back, so there was no permit.
You still have to leave at 6, but you can come back. And there is some long-term stay there Yeah, for women and children, who are the bulk of the individuals there. So,
Just like, we've got so many unhoused children in Forest Park schools, and their definition is, could be extended stay hotels, didn't have to necessarily be in the backseat of your car. So that covers a number of definitions of homelessness.
Mm.
I don't know if we're including all that in the job placement stuff, or.
again, this is the initial test case. They wanted to partner with
Some-
Calvary because some people who might even sleep in the Star Park go there at times. So kind of this is a test case, and then afterwards they'll go from there as far as expansion.
I noticed that one of the buildings on Old Dixie was knocked down. Is there any information on what is the potential plan?
What building was that?
On Old Dixie?
You going south towards this way? Keep going south.
Oh, okay, that's the.
Yeah, so that's the new MARTA. Exactly.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
So the other thing was is a question for the board. We have, as you know, partnership with Southern Equity. We're working with them. We have a race and equity training, a racial equity training. We're looking at the dates to be March 22nd or March 29th, which is Saturday. Wanted to kind of talk with Chairwoman James about her availability, and she's fine on the weekends, but want to see if you all want to do it in person or virtually. That's the option for you all. March 22nd, March 29th.
March 22nd and 29th? Or 22nd or 29th?
If we can leave out of here today with a consensus on a date, because we are on a tight deadline to get back to our partners on that date so we can finalize space and agenda and food and snacks and all that good stuff. Their preference is the 22nd, however, they can be available on the 29th.
Oh, what were the times again?
It would be
9 to 12.
yeah, about 9 to 12, 9 to 12:30, on a Saturday morning. And it is staff's recommendation. They have presented an option to do it virtually. My personal opinion, I think doing a 3-hour racial equity and inclusion training virtually may be a little bit challenging. So, but again, it's going to be up to the will of the board if you want to do it virtual or in person, but I strongly recommend in person.
Either date, you're not available. What about you?
I'm open to both of them.
Well, did we get any agreement from Councilwoman
You
James?
can do it either.
Either, okay. What'd you say again, 20?
I'm available on the 29th, 22nd. 29th and from 9. In person is fine.
And you're good 29th also?
Yeah.
Well, 29th it is.
Thank you very much.
Right. Any other questions?
Yes, I had one question about the first thing that you spoke about. Was that the mentorship piece of what you were saying?
Small Business Development Center
Yeah.
doing the
What,
consulting.
where can we find more information about that?
We can provide you information.
Yeah, all right, that's great. Okay. I think that's all for today. No? All right.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Motion was by Mr. Elliott made the motion. Ms. Julius seconded. Yeah. Yeah.
Marcellus, was this your plan the whole time? Was just to come down here a while and then?
That was it. That was it.
How do you live? Huh?
You have the floor. Sir. No, we don't need to. I motion to executive session and re-enter normal session. All in favor? Aye.
Collaborative effort.
Yeah. No.
All right, so just one more update about the iPads. So we did, those should be coming soon. We have signed off on the requisition, and now we're just waiting for the purchase order to be created. Director Cox, who's our IT director, he's going to get things set up. I think there's probably going to be some type of training with you all, and hopefully that'll happen. Actually, we can do that in the next meeting because they should be ready by then. So everything, you'll have them by then, and then he'll set up emails, addresses for you all too. So all that will be taken care of by April 10th, which I believe is our next meeting.
Thank you very much.
All
Thank you
right,
very much, sir.
Thank you.
I move to adjourn. All in favor? Aye. Thank you, everybody. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, that statement starting at 7.
Oh, yeah.